welcome to another episode of Rome Over Landing. We are a few days away from Christmas and I am heading out for a sneaky little one-night camp on the west coast, meeting up with Nikki. It's a bit of an interesting situation because right now I don't have my Hilux. It is currently in pieces at Terrain Tamer. So Nikki and Delicia have very kindly offered to loan me their 105 while my car is busy getting all the work done at Terrain Tamer. And look, that's going to be a whole nother video all on its own. It's a lot of work that's being done. The car currently has no axles. The transfer box is out. The turbo is out. It's a huge amount of work. So that I'll cover in a separate video. But recently, and very fortunately, I actually got my hands on this little EcoFlow Delta 2. I've taken a bunch of my camping gear out of the Hilux and I've got a very basic setup here. I'm borrowing old Engel fridge from Nikki, 40th anniversary edition, so this thing is like 20 years old. I'm running that off of the EcoFlow Delta 2 and yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff. Got a table, my chairs, a ground tent, stretcher, all the kind of extra camping gear that I had in my Hilux, and it's a really nice setup. The vehicle's driving beautifully. It's a 1HZ 105. It's got a Terrain Tamer suspension in it. It has a bent axle and a steering box that isn't working so great, but it actually has been driving beautifully this morning. Something I'm going to be looking at today in particular is the EcoFlow Delta 2 and looking at its versatility, because one of the main reasons I actually wanted to get my hands on it was because of all the load shedding that's been going on. Recently bought a PlayStation 5 and a new TV with my brother, and we can't make it through a full load shedding on the previous setup that I had, so we wanted to beef up a little bit, and I think the Delta 2 it's in the perfect price range. It's in the perfect size and scale inverter. It's got good capacity, so whether it's being used at home or you want to take it out and use it camping, it's incredibly good at doing both of those things. And I can't wait to kind of give you a bit of a breakdown of some of the specs and stuff on that, and also get it out and test it, play around. I've got a solar panel for it, and yeah, anyways, I'm gonna meet up with Nikki now. We're meeting up in Elandsbaai, and we're heading out to the west coast. So I must say, I have absolutely been loving the 105. The 4.2 Donkey engine, you know, it's got its reputation, but this particular one is actually pretty dang good. I mean, I was cruising 120, 130 this morning, and it just had legs. It wanted to keep going. I don't think it'll hold up as much once you start loading it up and putting on a lot of wind resistance. With this setup in the vehicle, I've got a good amount of luxury there, and it is driving like a dream. It's been actually awesome to drive around Cape Town because the way the gearbox works, the gearing is perfect for driving around town. It's perfect for driving 80 on the highway, and it's also perfectly fine once you get, you know, a bit of speed up and put it in fifth. You're really not changing gears at all on the highway, so it's been actually really pleasant to drive. The only thing is obviously the steering box on this particular one needs a bit of work, but otherwise it actually drives great. The Terrain Tamer suspension in here is fantastic. It's really, you know, soaks up all the bumps, coil springs front and back, solid axles front and back, so you don't really feel much under the vehicle, and it's a really nice, comfortable drive. So I've really been enjoying it. I'm looking forward to getting this off-road a little bit. I've never done any 4x4 in a 105. This is the first time I've ever driven a 105. First time I've ever driven a 4.2. I must say, it is worming its way into my heart, and I am loving it. Well, this is not a shabby spot. Had a big day on the road, a good 12 hours plus in the cruiser with no air conditioning. It was hot. I'm definitely feeling knackered, but I was really impressed today with that little EcoFlow. Managed to stop at lunch, make some little sausages on the induction. Tomorrow morning I've got enough battery now on that to make some coffee in the morning. Been running the fridge the whole time. It's actually been pretty cool. Tomorrow morning I'll sit down, grab the EcoFlow, and I'll run you through some of the specs. We are going to now enjoy a beautiful evening around the campfire on the majestic west coast. It is stunning out here. Nothing beats it. Good morning. It is a foggy morning here on the west coast. This morning I'm going to tell you a little bit about the EcoFlow Delta 2. It is an incredibly impressive unit. Now, I've been using it for the past week or two at home and sort of getting to play around with the app, getting to play around with, you know, the actual inverter itself, all the different outlets, and it's actually been so cool. First of all, something that's really great is it is adapted for SA. It's got all of our plugs. So straight on the back you've got two 3-prongs, you've got 2 prongs, you've got 12 volt, you've got Type C, you've got USB, you've got everything you need. Fits everywhere quite nicely. Looks nice in the house. Because it's a 1000 watt battery, it's actually a usable amount of battery capacity, which is really nice. Home, run a PlayStation 5, a TV and lights. You can actually get through an entire load shedding with a little bit of charge left. The way I've been running it is I went into the app, and in the app you can edit and change quite a lot of the settings. I made sure that the inverter never switches off. I made sure you can make sure that the screen never switches off. You can make sure that, you know, like all these different parameters for the inverter, for timing out and things like that. And that is actually quite a common issue with these small portable power packs, is that the 12 volt socket or the inverter or whatever switches off at some point on its own just because of some built-in timer, and then you wake up and then your fridge isn't on, or you know, there's all sorts of, you know, little situations where that becomes a bit of a problem. Because this thing has actually the ability to charge incredibly fast. Like, it'll charge from 0 to 100 in basically under an hour. That's insane. Which means I leave this plugged into the wall on AC charging at home. I plug in the TV, PlayStation, everything that I want to keep running into it, and I just run it. Just like that. If the load shedding kicks in, the inverter's already running, so the hard drives are safe. You know, nothing gets disturbed. You don't have to switch everything back on again. It just automatically is already running. That is a huge plus. A lot of the other portable power packs don't charge fast enough off of AC power. They're usually taking 8 to 9 hours to be able to charge to full, which just isn't fast enough. So that means you use your power pack during a 2-hour load shedding, and then you get hit with another 2-hour load shedding a couple hours later, and you have no power. And that's where the Delta 2 sort of like comes into its own. And actually a lot of the EcoFlow products have that fast charge ability. So even if you don't need as much power or as much inversion on as the Delta 2, a lot of the other products actually also offer that fast charging, and it's actually quite impressive. It's really delivered on a lot of its promises. And now it does have a 1800 watt inverter, and that is an incredibly useful amount of power. It can also surge up to about 2400 for quite a significant amount of time, so it's definitely no slouch. You just got to remember that at 1800 you can deplete its battery, because it only has a 1000 watt battery. So the quality of a lithium battery in here allows it to have a very good inverter, and that inverter I mean, I can run an induction, I can run an air fryer, I can run a lot of very practical things off of that you may need to use also at home, or like I am using out camping. So I don't have to worry about digging out my gas bottle and my jet boil and all that stuff. I can just take the setup that I'm using in the Hilux at the moment and bring it out here with me and boil my water. Yesterday I made some sausages, you know. You can still do things, and I found that the induction is actually quite efficient, especially if it comes to just boiling a cup of water for yourself, or you know, you don't actually use a hell of a lot of power. It just needs the high wattage from the inverter, and that's often where you end up having to get a lot of power just to be able to get that wattage out. So in terms of the weight, the profile, for a lot of people ticks a lot of boxes. I mean, using it at home, being able to just chuck it in the 4x4 and take it out with you, it only charges at 8 amps through the vehicle charger, because most cigarette lighters in the cars can only do about 8 to 10 amps. So you sort of limited there. Now obviously this would not be an issue at all if I was running the fridge on DC power, but the current situation, I didn't have the cables and the adapters and things that I needed, so I was running the fridge off of AC power. I've doubled the power consumption theoretically of the fridge, because you need to still run the inverter to run the fridge. So like now, yesterday we got here to camp, I put out the solar panel, the battery was at about 72% from the whole day with driving and running the fridge and using the induction, charging my phone and running the radio. So quite a lot of things. And we got out here, put out the solar panel, that charged. It's a 220 watt solar panel. That charged really well. I mean, immediately put it out, it was at 180 watts. We were in the last 2 hours of sunlight, so the weakest light of the day. So that solar panel would perform exceptionally well, and it got the battery up to like 83% or something. So it ran the fridge, I put on batteries for the camera to charge, I was doing a bunch of stuff and still managed to get up another you know, 10-15%, somewhere around there. Quite impressive. If you figure that out, it can charge on solar at 220 watts. It uses the same input as the cigarette lighter. That means you could potentially get more than 8 amps through the DC in, like charging from DC in the car. There might be ways to be able to figure out how to charge this faster when you are in the vehicle and are actually driving, but you know, for me personally, I don't look as this product as something that's going to eliminate the need for a DC to DC system in your overlanding vehicle. I just look at this as a really nice value add to your life as somebody in South Africa in particular, dealing with load shedding as a daily thing. I can still keep working through load shedding. I can still keep, now it's December, I can still have fun and play PlayStation, and you know, if we need to cook something or we need to do something, we can still function even if they hit us with load shedding. I think that is what's really nice. Even if you're gonna go camping with friends or family or something, you just grab the EcoFlow and you put it in the vehicle, and they can run a fridge and they can run some things and have a basic setup in the back without having to go and do wiring in the vehicle and pop the bonnet and, you know, interfere with their vehicle. You can literally just take it and put it in. And for the people who are going and doing a small camping trip every other, you know, maybe 2 or 3 weekends a year, or a big camping trip once a year, you can get away with this, absolutely, especially if you've got good sunlight and you can run the solar panel, or you know, you have AC power nearby every other day that you can charge it up. And then say you're driving around all day and you are running your fridge off of this, and then at night you get to your camp and you put it on power, you charge the battery up, and you can do that. It's more management. I definitely don't have to think about my power system on the Hilux, because it's just all, it's way over spec. But that's like having 5 of these and then that becomes, my setup becomes a bit more efficient. But in terms of the actual just day-to-day usage, to be able to just grab this and go. I don't think there's much on the market that really competes with it, and especially at the price at the moment. I know EcoFlow's been running some pretty crazy deals, and then I have a discount code as well for you guys. I'll also earn a small commission on anything you buy on the site, so you will also be supporting the show if you head over to EcoFlow and consider getting yourselves one of these. Now, I'm obsessed with my 12 volt stuff. I'm obsessed with playing around with inverters and batteries and all sorts of things like that. And something I must say that I really like on this Delta 2, and I think it would be on basically most of the EcoFlow products, is the app. So it's a Wi-Fi controlled and Bluetooth controlled app. So say for example this unit is sitting at home, I can log onto my phone, go onto the EcoFlow app, and I can switch things on and off from wherever I am as long as I have internet connection on this inverter, which is fantastic. But I can also monitor it, see its percentages, see how it's been charging, see what's discharged, really have a good understanding of what's happening with the battery. And the same thing for when I'm driving in the car. So if I want to know what's happening, I put the phone up front with the EcoFlow app on, and I can check what's happening on the battery at the back of the vehicle. Is it still plugged in the cigarette lighter? Is the fridge still running? Is it charging enough? So it does help with battery management, and I have found that really nice. The app is beautiful and the user experience is very pleasant, and I love the customizability of the system in there as well. So yeah, I really think it's a fantastic product, and it bridges a gap for so many people. It's got multiple use, and for me that's always something that's really important. But anyways, we are gonna enjoy the rest of the morning here on the Wild West Coast. A couple hours time, heading back to Cape Town, getting ready for Christmas, spending some time with family and friends. So thank you so much for joining on this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. And please remember, if you do want to get yourself an EcoFlow product, you can use my discount code below, and yeah, head to the link in the description, follow the link, and go check out the store. They have some really impressive products. Another one of these that I recommend is their 720 watt hour one. I think it's the EcoFlow River, something like that, and that is also fantastic, and for a lot of people a bit more budget friendly, still packs a serious punch. But if it's me, the Delta 2 or anything in that Delta range with the fast charge and that crazy inverter, that is definitely ticking a lot of boxes. So have a lovely festive season, and I'll catch you on the next adventure, wherever that might be. Cheers!